Hey, this is Fat Albert. Did you ever watch that cartoon? Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining me once again on my channel. This is Ruth Mahogany, and if you've watched even to this extent, say 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, thank you. Because attention these days is pretty scarce. Like, people just check and they're like, hey, this is not my thing. They pop off. they pop out, right? They jump out of like your video. Like, that happens because, hey, so it's like you just have a short time to like tell people like, hey, this is what you should be watching. But bro, well, if you're still here, thank you very much. My name is Ruth Mahogany. I am a poet, a multi-talented artist, a musician, music producer. I create a variety of music. I'm into hip-hop, reggae, Afrobeats. Like, basically, I'm not really into genres. I just try to marry sounds and create an alternative, unique vibe. Right. So, welcome to my channel, Things and Things. I am still evolving this, so with time, I could name Wisdom for Artists, Wisdom for Creators. But the whole idea is that I am sharing my processes, sharing my ideas about things, hoping that someone can find one or two ideas, one or two wisdoms. Can you say wisdoms? Hoping that someone can find wisdom, though. One or two things that we feel like, hey, I can apply this. Hey, this resonates with me. I could apply this to my creating. All of this is better from the fact that I have been creating for a pretty long time. And so I have seen through like the process of showing up for a couple of pieces and all of that. So apart from working for myself, I work for other people as a songwriter, as media, really just into media creation, media campaigns, jingles. Yeah, so if you want any of that, you can also hit me up. Yeah. So today, what do I want to do? I want to do a quick recap, just a quick recap of the other videos, right? And also talk about the power of beats. On the other two videos, I talked about the reasons why we didn't try. Is that the reason why we don't try? Oh God, I'm gonna try and speak good English. I hope you understand me though. The reasons why we don't try is a lot of times perfectionism. Perfectionism sometimes comes from a place, an excellent place and a good place, right? But sometimes like just showing up helps us to understand the process, helps us to learn, right? However, I said I am not into absolutism, that there is time to there is preparation time, and that preparation time cannot totally be taken away from the process, right? The fact that, oh, we have conceived a child doesn't mean that we're going to give birth to the child right now. Nah. So there's preparation time, and really like just listen to like your soul. I think you will know when, hey, you're procrastinating, when you're supposed to push for stuff and you're not. I think you will know, right? That said, perfection is not it's not perfection that actually cuts shit. It's not perfection that perfection does not always do anything like that, right? I hope I'm making sense as I'm trying to. God, English is not easy. I'll try though. Perfection doesn't always do, most times doesn't. It just cripples us, right? And by just showing up, we can learn so much from the process, right? I also talked about the reason why we don't try, being that, hey, the field might be dense, and we're like, hey, there's so many people, and I said, hey, there's abundance, right? There's abundance. Like planets do not feel like, oh, the earth exists, that will not exist. There are billions of planets, billions of solar systems. Is it solar system? Planetary systems. Billions of planetary systems, right? And they don't feel like, oh, earth exists, so I will not be able to survive. Nah, they do. They all just survive, right? And I also talked about in the second video, I talked about imposter syndrome, right? And how sometimes we are the ones by ourselves. We see finish ourselves, right? We feel like, oh, I've seen my strengths, I've seen my weaknesses, so like why will people see me as great, right? I talked about that. I also talked about how like sometimes other people could gaslight us and we will not feel like, hey, we have what it takes, even when we've shown time and again. And I said the whole idea of sharing is that, hey, we can also call ourselves back and say, hey, am I also the one that gaslights another person's efforts? And be like, hey, look down another person and be like, you ain't shit. Am I also that person? So hey, if I'm that person, how can I evolve my soul to be better, right, and show up better for other people? I also talked about the power of little beginnings and how like technology really makes us see growth as inconsequential. I said if you have an event and you say and 50 people show up, of course you'll be glad. If 100 people show up, you'll be glad. 200 people show up. But if you have 200 views, you will not be. You'll be like, huh, what's 200 views? Do you understand? Because you are comparing your 200 views to somebody that has 2 million views. Do you understand? But somehow, like, if we can be consistent, somehow that 200 views can turn to 2 million. Right. So today, what I want to really say, so that's me I just condensed condensed 2 videos in what I just talked about. But today I want to talk about the power of beats. Right. So yeah, the power of starting small, but I'm talking about the power of beats because everything, if you look at nature, a lot of things, a lot of processes are step by step and tiny. And I feel like a lot of times we feel overwhelmed by our ideas because we think about them as a whole and we don't break them into actionable plans, right? So I'll give an example. For me, creating songs, I also produce, right, music production, and sometimes I have to create to-do lists that break down my process so that I feel productive even when I've done little stuff. So I could be like, today I could actually break down what's like at least the major things I show up for, right? Like break down, hey, today show up for so song, puts the kick, puts the shakers, play so instruments. And then by even being there, I could get more things done. But first I make sure like, hey, I try to like show up for these things. I could be like, oh, export stems for so thing. So even in writing songs, rather than like see the song as a whole, right, I could break it down where I'm like, brainstorm for so verse, write a few lines for so verse, write the chorus, rewrite the chorus, because sometimes like you could have written a chorus and you don't really like it. So yeah, I like to break down my ideas to actionable plans, actionable points or something, right? And then to-do lists are my friend, right? And now what's the analogy of this thing? I'm saying that, hey, if you look at a tree like you can basically grow up watching like a tree grow, but the tree doesn't become tall in one day. Like it's like every day is just time, and you are not even seeing it. You feel me? You're not seeing anything. And like if we look at nature, maybe we will be inspired like with our own ideas to create. Again, I say some of these ideas are just sharing. I'm sharing for creators and people that, oh, you feel overwhelmed. A lot of times we see creating as hobbies. We don't necessarily see it as the main serious thing in life. Do you understand? So sometimes the discipline that we need to like push through with ideas is not there. And that is the reason why like I'm sharing some of these ideas, is that, hey, maybe if we break down ideas to little bits where you can show up for, oh, so this, say you are writing an article and you are like, write the intro, and then so there's a particular paragraph in the body, right, where you are like, write so paragraph or brainstorm this is this for this, like breaking it down somehow and showing one day at a time. Even like for painting, you can be like, oh, today bring out your canvas or set your paint the background, right, or paint for 10 minutes, paint for 15 minutes, right, because that is actionable as opposed to like do the whole painting today. Like, you will be so overwhelmed that you won't even start, right? So yeah, this is my wisdom today. I hope that you've picked one or two things, and even if you didn't, come back next week. I think next week, like, you might find something. You might find something that you really like. Yeah, so once again, my name is Ruth Mahogany. I put out a song last week called, not last week, I think 2 weeks ago, called Maybe, and it's on streaming platforms. I'm gonna put the link either in the comment section or in the description. Thank you very much. And once again, if you are watching this from Ruth Mahogany channel, know that I am moving this to another channel. So I'm moving it to a channel dedicated to just this. So I'm going to also put the link in the description or in the comment section so that we can go to that channel and subscribe and check for more videos. Yeah, thank you very much. This is Ruth Mahogany, and I will see you next week.